Welcome back to Shaw Spotlight. I'm here with Chef Recovery, Jay Barnard, and today we're talking about mental health and addiction. Jay, you're celebrating 13 years clean and sober. How does that make you feel?
Well, it's a dream come true. First of all, because I never thought I never thought that I could get clean and sober. That was the real struggle, right? For the better part of 18 years, I struggled with addiction and alcoholism and mental health and anxiety and depression and all of the above, right? So I never thought it was one of those chains that I could break. I never thought that it was possible to actually have a life worth living. Um, but then also have a life that's exciting and fun and life doesn't change just because I got clean and sober, because I still got to deal with everyday life things, but I'm able to live life today and be the best version of Jay because of that choice I made February 11th 2008 to get clean and sober. And to say I'm grateful would be an understatement, because I was just uh, I was just a guy that lived to use and used to live. I didn't know anything else, and that's how I killed pain. And that what I've realized is that it wasn't even the drugs and the alcohol I was addicted to. I was addicted to more. So it was like more drugs, more food, more alcohol, more, right? Because then pain would come in, I'd need more, and then I need more, and then I need more. So there's just this cycle of constant pain that I just didn't know how to deal with or manage, or really just didn't know how to deal with it. So, uh, getting clean and sober, it's taught me how to process that and you know truly just allow myself to be. I've done a whole bunch of bad things, but that doesn't make me a bad person. So when I kind of put myself in that, just because I did a whole bunch of bad things doesn't make me a bad person, because I can change who I am in the future, right? I can change myself every single day. So um, I can't go back in the past and I can't go in the future. I have to live in the moment, which is right now. And right now, I don't think I've ever been any more happier. So sobriety and being clean has done me very well.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, I know with COVID, many people are struggling. Has it been harder for you?
For me, the thing about me is like I said, I made my recovery fun, right? So, you know, Ashley always likes to say that I am the meeting. So wherever I go, I am the meeting. So I'm always talking about my recovery 24/7. People are always reaching out to me 24/7 on all my social platforms. I'm always um I'm always entrenched in recovery, right? So it's not like I have one toe in and the rest of my body out. My whole being of Jay is in recovery. And when my whole being of Jay is in recovery, I actually, mentally, spiritually, physically, and emotionally am connected in my body, which then allows me to feel like I do today. If I don't have my whole body in recovery, then I'm in chaos, drama, dysfunction mode, which then triggers a whole bunch of things to come after that, which is my anxiety, my depression, my mental illness, my sickness, my using, my manipulation, my lying, my cheating. All that stuff happens. Um, and over the course of the last 13 years, I've had my foot in and I've had my foot out, and because it's not an easy journey. It's not an easy journey, and yeah, through COVID-19. Um, it hasn't been as hard on me as it has been on some people, but it has. I've had my moments. I've had my moments with my daughter. Like, so for me, it's more life things. It's not like I'm gonna go use. I'm gonna go drink. I'm gonna go use drugs. Right? It's for COVID for me as an addict and an alcoholic. It's really just been life things, and one of them being my daughter, watching her have such a hard time, um, not being able to be around friends and go places and go out and stuff like that. So, um, like I said, I'm the meeting. So I talk about recovery all the time. So when I'm talking about recovery all the time, and wanting to help people all the time, and I'm always there for people because they know they can reach out to me anytime they want on any avenue and any platform that I'm on. They know that I'll answer and they'll know that I'll help. And when somebody reaches out for help, I'm helping myself because then I'm answering them back, right? So um, when I do that, um, and I've been doing that for a very long time, my life is manageable. So then my life isn't unmanageable. So then I don't have that chaos, drama, and dysfunction going on, which would drive me to, you know, I might go use. And the one thing is about about a relapse, perhaps people have relapsed during COVID-19, is you just don't go pick up and drink, or you just don't go pick up and use drugs. There's a series of events that happen to a person before they decide to go pick up. So it's not like, oh my God, it's raining or snowing today. I'm going to the liquor store and I'm going to buy booze. There's a series of events that have happened. Perhaps something happened at work, perhaps something with your relationship, perhaps something with your kids, perhaps something with your friends. Series of events have happened that have now pushed you to a point of being triggered, and all that you think you have left to do is pick up and use because that's all you know how to do, because going through the pain hurts more than picking up. But in actual fact, going through the pain is the process to actually make you stronger for the future, instead of picking up, because then that takes you off the journey and now you got to start all over again, which is okay. It's okay to start all over again because you learn from your mistakes. But um, why put yourself through all that pain again? Is how I look at it.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah. So for me, you know, for me, finally, December 13th, I had a breakthrough, and this was before I celebrated. Um, I finally had a breakthrough in my mind that I was in my own way. I had control, and I wouldn't get out of my own way, and I just wouldn't let go. Right. So because I wouldn't do those three things, that dictated my life and allowed me to be dysfunctional in this cycle that I had been stuck in for so long, even in recovery, right? So I never picked up or used, but I was still doing doing and saying and acting in ways like I would if I was using. So um, when I figured out that it took here's a good example. It took me the better part of 12 years to tell myself I'm proud of myself. Tell myself I am proud of myself. Up till then, I had never said I was proud of myself for any kind of accomplishment that I ever accomplished in sobriety. Never mind just staying clean and sober for one day, because that's a huge accomplishment. But all the other things that I've managed to get opportunity in, from all the events to the businesses to all the speaking engagements to all the things that I've ever done, I never once stopped and said I was proud of myself. Not once. And I'd put the mask on and I'd pretend that everything's okay. And I'd hide behind this mask. And sometimes that mask would be 10, 12, 15, 16, 17 masks so deep that I didn't even know who I was. Um, and then I'd just fall into depression and anxiety. And that cycle just went around. And, you know, um,
Well, what made you decide to finally appreciate yourself and say you're proud of yourself?
well, getting with Ashley is what did it, is because Ashley is in recovery. So, a lot of people will say you shouldn't be with people in recovery, and I was one of those people. I always was with people that weren't in recovery. But what I didn't understand is when I was with somebody that wasn't in recovery, they didn't truly know who I was, or didn't understand the anxiety and depression, didn't understand the triggers, didn't understand, you know, didn't understand when I just curl up in a ball and can't do anything. Wouldn't understand that. And you know, getting with Ashley really at a point in my life where I was kind of lost hope on everything. Um, Through me, I taught her my recovery, and then she retaught me my recovery. So through that, and over the course of 6 or 7 months of trying to process what life was going on, she helped save my life in the avenue of like relighting my fire, giving my passion back, giving my love back, finding myself again, not being so watered down on the inside with, I did this wrong and I did this wrong and I'm such a bad person and I'm not a good father and I'm not going to find love and I'm not going to do this and I don't love myself and I don't like this and I don't do that. My business sucks and I suck and all these negative thoughts that were all false beliefs, but my committee inside my mind would tell me are true. So when my committee tells me that that's true, now I believe it, right? So that's the power in it. That's how much power mental illness has over somebody. That's how much power anxiety and depression has over somebody. But if somebody doesn't deal with it or somebody doesn't want to be open and honest about it, they would never understand it. They go, "What's wrong with you?" It's like your arm's broken. I see it's broken. Well, I don't, where's your mental illness? I don't see it. Right? And that's why we're breaking the stigma. That's why we're breaking the stigma. And the way you break the stigma is by using your voice, like I am today, by breaking the stigma and being open and honest about what's going on in your life and what's happened. And um, Ashley truly helped me being in recovery to reteach me my recovery over again at 12 and a half years. Um, which then pushed me to a breaking point of saying, I got to be proud of myself. Like, dude, come on, wake up. You got to be proud of yourself. And not proud in a way of egotistical, look at me, look at me, look at me. Proud in my own skin. Proud that I love myself. Proud that I can wake up and look at myself in the mirror. Proud that I can show up, dress up, take part in life today. Proud that I have a beautiful daughter. Proud, all these things, right? Um, and I remember December 13th, we're doing the recovery couple, and I broke down. And I broke down when we were live, and the next day the switch went, and then all of a sudden, I started to see this cycle start changing, and it was kind of like you can say a mic drop, you can say like the old skin off the snake came off, or you can say like the onion peels, right? So the peeling of an onion skin is a great scenario to say, right? Because you can peel the skin off of an onion pretty easy, and you can put that skin on really fast again, and it gets thicker. It's like when you try and work out, and then you fall off the wagon, and then you start eating a whole bunch. It's really hard to get the weight off the second time, and then it is the first time. And that's the same thing with recovery. But the bonus and the bonus and the opportunity that I had was that I had somebody in recovery with me. And the fact that she had such young recovery, she only had 5 months when I met her. And because of that young recovery, it retaught me my recovery. And it got me to believe in myself again. And it got me to be proud of who I am, and be proud of all the things that I've done and all the people that have supported me and all the everything.
So something you had mentioned to me before we started was that you doing a lot of videos and the live videos on Facebook have helped you a lot with recovery too.
Yeah, so it's like for me when I started doing this, you know, I was calling myself the recovering chef back in 2008, 2009, and then my pastry chef said, "Jay, why don't you call yourself Chef Recovery or Chef You're in Recovery?" And I was like, "Wow, I can brand that, and I could go out and share my story about the chef and everything, and I could bring it together." And what I realized when I did that was all of a sudden I created accountability. So I created accountability for myself in a way that I was open and honest and raw and emotional, on a public level when it came to social networking, right? So through all the social platforms, um, just talking into the screen, even if there was nobody there, allowed me to get rid of the garbage that was inside of me, out, which is breaking stigma, um, and just being able to get it out of my mind and not leaving it in there and just getting it out to the world, or the room. Um, really helped me grow, really helped me really helped me appreciate what recovery was, and really helped me appreciate, the life I could have, and the things I could do. And that's what it did for me in early recovery. The problem happened is over the course of time, I got complacent. So when I got complacent, that's when my mental illness started going crazy on me. So I got complacent, and then my mental illness started running my life, which would be my committee, which then would trigger my anxiety and my depression. And then when that happens, I'm not even Jay anymore. So I was still clean and sober, and I had a whack of masks on, and I could pretend really well. But at the end of the day, when I was at home, I was not feeling well. There had been over the course of 13 years, there had been a few attempts of suicide, and even clean and sober, I came to a point where I just didn't want to live anymore. And that was the mental illness driving that. That was the mental illness telling me I'm not worth it. That was, that was the sickness that I allowed to happen to me to say that I'm not worth it. That's not true. I am worth it. We're all worth it. Every single person's worth it. And nobody's ever alone. The only person that tells you alone is the committee inside your head. That's it. That's all. There's so much help out there. There's so much help out there. But as the person, you have to ask for the help. And I stopped doing that for a while, and it got me sick. People were reaching out to me, but I wasn't right. So I was helping others, but I wasn't helping myself. The way to get recovery is you got to help yourself in order to help others. And when you can help yourself, you'll help others. And then that's the cycle of recovery. So now you're in the cycle of recovery. You can't just help somebody else and not help yourself, because now you're missing the boat. That's when complacency came.
What advice would you give to someone struggling? Would you think it's important to have a why? Like you have a daughter, like is it good to have a reason why you want to better your mental health?
Well, you have to have a why, but for addicts and alcoholics, you have to, the why has to be yourself. If you're not doing this for yourself, I've seen it countless times, when somebody has done it for to save a marriage, or save a relationship, or for their daughter, or to save their job, or to not go to jail, or not to go to here, or you know they go for a couple months, or a year, whatever, and then all of a sudden they're back out using it, and then they come back to me and say, well, what happened? And I say, well, you probably had reservations because you were doing it for somebody else. You weren't truly doing it for yourself. So recovery is, you need to get recovery before anybody else can. So you need to recover yourself, like mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, in order to, like, if you can't love yourself, how can you love anybody else? If you can't like yourself, how can you like anybody else? If you truly, like, on a truly honest level. Um, and that's a journey in itself every single day, right? So every single day you're going to work on loving yourself. Every single day you're going to work on liking yourself more. Every single day you're going to, work on accepting yourself. Like, that's journey's life. That's for every human being, I believe. But for us, for myself, I had to learn how to love myself first before I could even try and love anybody else. I had to, learn to like myself and who I am before I could even think about liking anybody else. Because what happens is, if I don't do that, now I'm just kind of like all about that other person. And then what happens if that all that other person just, all of a sudden the relationship breaks up or whatever's going on, now I feel hurt. But I shouldn't feel hurt if I was taking care of myself. So yes, you got to have a why. I think the why should be, the why has to be you. The why has to be you. And then when the why is you, you have all those other things in your life that are meaningful and that you want. If it's your daughter, if it's your mom, if it's your girlfriend, if it's your wife, it's your kids, your job, it's your business, your whatever it is, right? But when you take care of yourself first, that's when all the other stuff falls in. But if you're not taking care of yourself first, how does all that stuff come back in?
Yeah, that's a really good way to look at it.
Well, that's just the truth. Most people don't like the truth. Right? I mean, at the end of the day, I didn't like the truth. I didn't like hearing it. I did not like hearing that I had to work on myself. right? Because I sit and look in the mirror and go, I'm the worst person in the world, and I've had the worst things happen to me, and this is the worst, and that is the worst, and this is the worst, and I'm a this, and I'm alone, and nobody's going to understand me, and I can't go through this, and I can't, right? Like I'm my worst critic, I'm my worst enemy. So when I can sit there and say, my life happened to me because of me. Now I've taken ownership of my life. I cannot blame other people, right? Because that's what I love to do. I used to love blaming people. I'd love to blame Vicky for all my issues and fish shoes and everything that happened in my life, right? But at the end of the day, the things that happened to me in my life after the age of 6, 7, 8, 9 years old were by me. I made those choices. I made those decisions. Nobody else did, right? So I created the life that I created, and I have to take ownership for that. And then I have to accept that. Then I got to process that. Then I got to heal from that. Then I got to change, right? Because if nothing changes, nothing changes. So if I don't want to change anything, nothing's going to change. that's that's the truth. And that's a hard pill to swallow for most people. If you go say to them, if nothing changes, nothing changes. Or you go look at people that myself. Uh, Relationships are always the same. If nothing changes, nothing changes. It's the truth. And so when I take ownership for that and ownership in that, that makes me the owner of it. So now I created all of this. I created all the pain. I created all the agony and sickness that went on in my mind because I was in control. I wouldn't get out of my way and I wouldn't let go. So because I wouldn't do those three things, my life was unmanageable. I had chaos and drama. No wonder I was sick. Right?
Well, it's always good to be able to look back at your life and learn from it.
Well, yeah, you have to do that. But like I guess the biggest growth and the biggest change for me was just that accepting, like, I'm not a bad person. I did some bad things. I created all this in my life. I never had to put myself into these situations. I physically put myself into that situation. I physically did this. I physically did that. Nobody else did that to me. So when I'm taking ownership for that, it starts the process of acceptance. And acceptance is a hard thing to do. Accepting things, right? Because, you know, for me, I like to blame people. I'd love to just pour the blame onto other people. That makes me feel better because now I don't have to accept anything. But at the end of the day, it was me that did it. So I need to accept that I did it in order to even start the process or the journey of recovery. I have to say I'm an alcoholic and an addict. My name's Jay, right? Like I have to identify with what I am in order to start healing. If I don't do that, how do I even start healing? I can't start healing, right? It stops the healing because now I'm hiding. But that's what I did when I was an addict and an alcoholic. I hid. So if I can identify who I am, if I can accept what I've done, it'll start that process of getting to know myself, and it'll start that process of healing. Like healing's a big thing in recovery for addicts and alcoholics. If you're not healing and moving towards loving yourself and the person that you are, um, you will go through the pain that I went through for the better part of, you know, 12 and a half years. Now, I'm not saying that the 12 and a half years was garbage because it wasn't, but there's a lot of periods there where I was really tough on myself when I didn't have to be, right? It all boiled down to being in my own way, not letting go of control, and not just letting go. And when you do those three things, you really lean on faith. So you lean on something that you don't know, right? It's like, oh, right. So now you're scared, right? And you got full of fear. Like, what's going to happen? How can I do this? How can I just let go? Don't you know that that person hurt me for the last 10 years? How do you just let go of that? How do you let go of that? And how do you not let it consume your brain? You just let it go. And all of a sudden, it's like, it's just like, all this weight and all this dysfunction and chaos and drama and non-stuff, then this nonsense that was weighing me down. For what? I was allowing other people's power to power me. That's not right. I need to power my own power. I need to take care of my own self. I need to heal my own self, right? Like, so allowing other people's power, whatever they did to you, control your life doesn't put a good person in a good spot.
Well, I think that shows how much of a hold mental health can have on you if you held on to it for 12 and a half
Yeah,
years.
yeah, it's that's it, right? And your mental illness, your mentalness will dictate how you do things, right? So people, places, and things have to change. Even like your wording and how you word things, right? So if you're always a negative talker, well, you're always gonna have negativity in your life. If you start throwing some positivity in there and some positive words into your life, all of a sudden you're gonna wake up and have a smile. You're gonna like, holy cow, go to the grocery store and people are gonna be like, why are you glowing? Why are you smiling? What's going on with you? You don't look so dark anymore. People see these things, right? But if you don't, just that simple one, just changing the words and the way you use words and how you say things will dictate a better mental health. The people you hang around, if they're not good for you, they're going to give you, it's going to reflect on your mental health. If they are good for you, that is going to reflect on your mental health. So you're going to be a person in the dark or you're going to be a person in the light. And you got to be with the people that are in the light that make you in the light. And those are the people you want to hang around with because they're going to give you your life and they're going to give you your light and they're going to give you your recovery and they're going to be there for you and support you and love you and care about you and really appreciate who you are. And when it comes to things, for addicts and alcoholics, I don't think going and hanging out at a bar the first month is a good idea. Or, I don't think going to the drug dealer's house is a good idea. I don't think, doing doing things like that. So maybe perhaps going for a walk in the park or going to hang out at the lake or getting into exercise or healthy eating or movies or something that stimulates the brain to a positive side of things that just kind of creates that change, um, to make you feel better, right? Because I think that's what life's about. We all just want to feel better, right? Because it's okay to be okay and it's okay not to be okay, but I'd rather feel okay than not okay.
Well, I think that's a good point too, because recovery is different for everyone. So you have to find what works for
That's it,
you.
right? Not how does they say that now? Not every size is the same, or not every shoe fits the same foot. So everybody's recovery is different. You're absolutely right. So for somebody like me, I'm a guy that doesn't do a lot of meetings because I am the meeting, right? So I don't do a lot of meetings in person, or online, but I talk about recovery every single day. And some people go to a lot of meetings. Some people, whatever works for you to get recovery, you got to be happy about that because you're doing two things. You're doing yourself a favor and you're doing the world a favor by helping somebody else. So, however you get recovery, there's no one way to get recovery. It's your way, and how you get it is awesome, and I support that 100%. Um, and by anybody doing that, we're all breaking the stigma together in the recovery community.
Yeah, that's such a great message. Thank you so much, Jay, for talking to me today and sharing your experiences.